Hello. I'm here to tell you about your Creating a Historical Domino Effect assignment. We're using this assignment to kind of link together all of that content we've been covering this trimester. If you'll remember, we started at the very beginning talking about the invention of the cotton gin and all of the effects that had then on the US economy, on the number of enslaved people in the United States, on Indian land removal, all of those things. So I thought, let's turn this over to you to create a historical domino effect of your own. So the nice part of this is if you were really interested in one thing that we covered, but not so much some of the others, you can you can kind of pick and choose. If there's something on here that you're like, I don't remember ever talking about that, totally fine. Maybe don't include it in your domino effect. So your options here, we have people, economic events, social movements, and US government events or actions. So it's probably in your best interest to kind of move around to different topics so that you don't have just people or just economic events, because some of these go together a little bit better than others. They're all just in alphabetical order. So don't get mistaken that like Andrew Jackson would lead to John Marshall, would lead to John Ross, would lead to Samuel Worcester, right? So we have the four people I just said, Tecumseh, Thomas Jefferson, and William Henry Harrison. As far as social movements, we have the Cherokee Nation forming the Treaty Party and the National Party, Indian Confederacy, indigenous languages becoming endangered, Manifest Destiny, the movement to preserve indigenous languages, and voting rights expanded to all white men. So some of those we talked about in a lot more detail than others. Also feel free to Google things, look things up, right? This is your project to kind of take and make into your own. So we also have some economic events, US government events. I won't read through all those. But please know that if you have like an event or a person that you want to include in your domino effect and you don't see it on here, shoot me a quick email and say, hey, Ms. Melliker, I really want to talk about maybe the Irish fighters who switched sides in the Mexican-American War. I really want that to be included in my domino effect. Great. That would be something that maybe you want to talk about. Keep in mind that we haven't covered the Mexican-American War really yet because we are going to do that next week. So this project is not due until the week after. I just want to give it to you now so you can start kind of planning things in your head. There's also just a one extra credit point on there that is including the vocabulary term assimilation. So somewhere in your connection, just including that word or assimilate or some variant of it. And you'll get a little bonus point there. So how this project works is you are going to come down here and say, okay, maybe I want to start with the invention of the cotton gin. And in listing that event, give a small description of it. Like, why was this important? What happened? So the invention of the cotton gin, maybe when it was invented in, was that invented? 1798, 1797? I don't know. That would be something I need to look up because I forgot what year it was. So this is maybe a time where you do some Googling. So let's do, I'm going to do 17 and leave that to look up later. When it was invented, it made cotton easier to process. So the crop became very lucrative to grow and sell. So maybe just a short description of like why that was an important event. So then we come down here and we say which led to, that's where you're going to kind of take off. So maybe you want to connect the cotton gin to Indian land removal. Maybe you want to connect it to the way that the US economy happened. Maybe you want to connect it to the rise in the number of enslaved people. Maybe you want to look up some different events or people who fought for abolition, right? We haven't really covered that yet, but that would be a great way to go with this historical domino effect. So you really have a lot of freedom to take this where you want. And you need to pick 5 different events, people, movements, something to make a clear effect. So things to look out for. Cause and effect. The cotton gin led to an increase in the number of people, right, who needed to or who wanted to grow cotton, right? It became profitable. So you can't connect two things that seem unrelated of the cotton gin is in fact is invented and then the Trail of Tears, right? You might be able to make that connection in your mind, but you need to explain that whole connection in this document. So you can't say which led to the Trail of Tears, right? You would have to go through, it became central to the American economy. The government wanted to provide more land to farmers. Therefore, they needed to work with the Cherokee Nation to try and get that land. Those negotiations didn't go well. There was the formation of the Treaty of New Echota, right? There's a lot of things that happen in between. You don't have to include all of those, but you need to have a clear connection between the events, if that makes sense. Hopefully that was a good description. If you have questions, if you're like, I don't actually know if this caused this, first, use Google. Google is your friend. Look at reliable sources on the internet. Or shoot me an email and say, hey, can you please look at my domino effect and make sure it makes sense? Totally. Okay. You're not on your own here. And if you turn something in and I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense, I'm going to tell you and you can fix it. Okay. So this is worth 40 points. So a big chunk of your grade will be this. Everything up to this point has been 5 points. So if you do well on this, it can really, really help your grade. And remember that assessments, this is kind of an assessment, or bigger projects are never done until you decide you're done. So if you turn in something where you only have 2 of these done, I'm going to give it back to you and say, hey, keep going. Okay? We're doing this together. By the end of this, I want you to have a product that you're proud of. So please email me or ask if you have any questions. Yeah. All right. Bye.